Hello, you're watching KLTV with me, Hannah Reid. It's that time of the week again. Welcome to the weekly wind-up show, where today I'm joined in the studio by Natasha, who is currently a dementia support manager at the Alzheimer's Society. She's here to chat with us on behalf of Dementia Awareness Week, which will be taking place between the 14th and the 20th of May. Hi Tasha.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do at the Society?
Yeah, of course. So obviously I'm Natasha, I'm the Dementia Support Manager at the Alzheimer's Society. I cover Wakefield and Kirklees, but link very much in with Calderdale as well. Generally speaking, it means I'm managing a team which are providing support to service users, anyone who needs information and advice on dementia.
Yeah, so first of all, could you just tell me and the people at home what the difference is between dementia and Alzheimer's, because I know that quite a few people get confused about that.
Yeah.
People think it's the same thing. Just give us a little bit of information about that.
Okay, so dementia is actually the umbrella term for a set of symptoms, which might mean things like memory loss, problems with communication, language difficulties, and Alzheimer's disease is actually a type of dementia. So in the same way that you would say cancer is your broad term, you'll have different types of cancers, it's the same thing. So depending on which part of the brain's affected, depends on which type of dementia it would be.
Are there any symptoms of dementia, and how is it dealt with? How is it treated?
There's quite a few different types of symptoms. It's going to affect each person differently. Generally speaking, memory loss is the main thing which someone would associate with dementia, and it's generally the main thing which would prompt someone to go to the GP. There's also things where it might affect someone's motor skills, might affect language, so finding the word. It could affect problem solving, visuospatial, so they might struggle with being able to judge distances, for example. In terms of how you actually deal with dementia, there is medication available, but that is to alleviate the symptoms of dementia. Unfortunately, at the moment, there's no cure. Hopefully, research will work towards that, but at that point, there isn't any. The main thing, I think, in terms of living with dementia is that they access the support available, and that they actually feel that, that they're focusing on what they can do rather than what they can't.
Is there anything that people can do at home to try and avoid it? Is there anything you'd recommend, any vigorous exercise? Because I did read that online, vigorous exercise 30 minutes a day, that's how you can reduce your risk of getting dementia. Is there anything else?
In terms of avoiding dementia, it can literally happen to anyone, but there's certain things which we do encourage. So an active lifestyle, healthy eating and reducing your alcohol intake certainly would be a factor that we would recommend.
Yeah, I saw online that vigorous exercise 30 minutes a day, it does significantly reduce your chance of getting dementia in the future.
Absolutely.
And there is a stigma as well that it's just older people that do get dementia, but there's quite a few young people who are developing it as well from a young age. Do you think that's got anything to do with diet or the way that we're living?
The risk factors associated with younger people tend to be around alcohol, trauma, or it might be genetics. It's more likely to be tied to that. However, it can be for a number of reasons outside of that as well. I think in the long run we know that more people in the future are going to be getting dementia, and like you say, it's not bound to happen to every single older person. It can happen to absolutely anyone.
Are there any support groups of people living with dementias? Anything you'd recommend for people to have a look at or anything like that?
Yeah, well, at our national level, we've got the National Helpline, which people can give our support team a call. They'll be able to provide you with a range of information and advice, and that's absolutely for anyone. We've also got our Talking Point, which is an online forum. A lot of carers find that really, really useful because they can speak to carers across the country. It's also for people with dementia as well. For any questions, people can just put anything which they're struggling with, and you'll feel that you've got that community around you, which is actually really useful if you consider that a lot of carers struggle to get out, if they've particularly got a lot of care needs with the person with dementia. So that's definitely something I would encourage people to do, and it's just about actually making sure that you're speaking openly with family and friends if you feel like you can do, but if you do feel like you need that confidential line, then you know that it is there as well.
Yeah, so I read online that dementia is one of the UK's biggest killers
Yeah.
and not many people are doing much about it, especially the government, and you're pushing the government to try and increase funding for research to try and find a cure. Is there anything that you'd say or that people can do to try and petitions, getting online, anything like that?
The dementia research aspect is massively underfunded, underinvested in, and if we look at cancer and what we know about cancer now compared to what we know about dementia, they're probably about 50 years in front of us on that knowledge. For people with dementia, they can access joint dementia research, which means that they can actually get involved in the research themselves. They actually find that really useful a lot of the time because they get ongoing medical checkups, ongoing support through that as well, and that's another support mechanism they can access. If you're not a person with dementia but you're interested in more the research aspect, then it would probably come down to looking at maybe donating anything. That would be absolutely amazing, because as I say, it's very underfunded and underinvested in. But the government are stepping up to that now as well, and they are getting more on board with that, which is really, really good to see.
Yeah, and what would your advice be to people who are sat at home right now and they think they might have a loved one, or it might be themselves? What would your advice be to taking that first step to go into the doctors or to go into a support group? What would you say to people who are afraid to come forward as they think they've got dementia?
I think there is a lot of fear around dementia. I think people are very scared of what it means for them, what's going to happen next, and we can't predict the future or tell them what that's going to mean for each person. But definitely as soon as you go to your GP and then go through getting the diagnosis, it opens up so many doors for actually accessing that help. In terms of actually Kirklees, that's one of the most dementia-friendly boroughs. It's got a huge step forwards. A lot of people are on board, and you can live absolutely so well with dementia now compared to a lot of years ago. I think the other thing would be as well that the symptoms for dementia can be the same as a urine infection and depression. So it's worth actually going to the GP anyway to eliminate those other things, because it might be that you think you've got dementia, but if you've got depression or a urine infection, you can actually find a cure to that potentially.
Yeah.
Whereas with dementia, we know that there isn't a cure at the moment, but at least then you're going to accept that right support, and it opens up so many channels that you wouldn't otherwise have.
It's just about getting people behind you, and that's what this week is about. What are you going to be doing on this week?
So the theme is United Against Dementia, which I think is something that pretty much everyone can relate to. Ultimately, we've got 2 events coming up. I'll just go through it with you.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Nationally, there's going to be events up and down the country, which will be absolutely amazing. But in terms of locally, we've got an event at Calderdale, which is going to be a bit like a family fun day. We've got fun climbing wall, photo booth, pets as therapy dogs. We're going to have information and advice. So please do come down if you've just got a few questions on that. That's going to be at the Orange Box Theatre, 1:30 till 4:30 on the Saturday, 20th of May. And then the Kirklees event, that's at the Brian Jackson House. That's the 15th of May at 12:30 till 3:30. And that's also for your information and advice, but it's got a lot of reminiscence work. They've got creative art, so people can join in creating a big artwork together, just if you'd come along. And then we've got our Singing for the Brain there as well, which will be absolutely amazing. So you can just join in with a sing-song or just watch our people with dementia and the carers joining in and singing. And I think it's important to mention that a lot of other organisations such as Making Space, Carers Count, the Dementia Centre, they've all been involved in that as well, which I think really highlights the idea of being united against dementia.
Yeah, and how can people help in the lead up to the week? What can they do? Is there anything that they can do if they can't make it on the day or anything like that, donation wise?
Absolutely spread the word. Donations, you can donate at any time to the Alzheimer's Society. I think it might be worth, if you've got any questions, contacting the office for further questions on that as well. But ultimately, just turning up to our events would be absolutely amazing. We'd love to see as many people as possible there.
Getting the support that you need.
Yeah.
Spread awareness, get people there on the day, have a good day. Seems like you've got a lot going on.
Yes.
So it seems like it's going to be a good day to spread awareness, and it's going to be family fun for everybody else.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much, Natasha, for coming.
That's
all we've got time for on the weekly wind-up show. But be sure to join us next time. For now, goodbye.
Hello.